Hey, you guys, my name is Pastor Marcus, a church planter with a passion for mission in secular, non religious cultures, and also the host of the storychurchproject.com, which has a ton of resources for postmodern evangelism and discipleship. And in this video, I want to answer the question missional versus traditional church. What's the difference? But before I do, please like and subscribe because this really helps the channel to reach a wider audience. Now, it's important to note that the difference between a missional and a traditional church is not a passion for mission. There is plenty of missional passion and drive in lots of traditional churches. The difference between the two is really about the model. For example, traditional churches tend to operate kind of like a restaurant. They have a set location with a building, and in that building, they offer a particular flavor of faith. Some traditional churches are conservative, others are progressive. But despite the difference in flavor, they both revolve around the building that hosts a big program every weekend. This big program usually consists of singing and a sermon. People attend on the weekend, and then when the program is over, they go home. And while traditional churches like this might have a few other activities scattered about, the center of church life is the big program that takes place in the central building. Now, I'm not here to criticize and say that such churches are bad. I believe traditional churches like this have done a lot of good and with good leadership practices can continue to have an impact in the world. But the biggest weakness of the traditional model is that it has very little impact in a secular, non religious world. Why? Because it's a restaurant with a religious menu where people go to consume religion. And when your city is full of people who don't like the taste of religion, then no one wants to come to your restaurant. You can upgrade the design, the architecture, add live music, and develop some cool branding. But at the end of the day, in secular societies, people simply aren't interested in your religious menu. What this means is secular mission feels like Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Japan, and increasingly the US cannot be evangelized through traditional church models that focus on attracting people to a building with a program. This building centered slash attractional approach is increasingly exhausting, expensive, and ineffective in secular areas. So then, what is the magical solution? The truth is, there isn't any. And if you thought this video was going to give you the silver bullet for baptizing hundreds of secular people into your church, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but that's not going to happen. There is no blueprint and there is no magical solution. However, there is an approach that has a higher likelihood of success and it costs almost $0. It's simple, easy to reproduce, and not exhausting. This is what is known as the missional model. Now, if you want to explore the missional model in depth, you can watch the basic training videos on the r3network.com. The R3 Network is a missional network in Perth, Western Australia that focuses on rooting the gospel in our secular post-church city. And there, I go into more detail than I can in this short video. And if you want to go even deeper than what that free online school offers, and you want some in-depth training into mission and church planting in postmodern secular cities, including over 30 hours of workshops and seminars, plus live sessions every Sunday, join my online school, The Mission Collective. Just go to thestorychurchproject.com/TMC to learn more. Now, with all that aside, here is a simple look at what makes the missional model different to the traditional. For starters, the missional model doesn't have a building or run weekend services slash programs. Instead, it focuses on training members to live missionally in a secular city. That is, how to reach your secular friends, how to share the gospel with them, how to explain scripture to them, and how to serve them in ways that lead to existential and spiritual conversations. Second, the missional model nurtures small, safe, and inclusive missional communities who then focus on discipling secular seekers. These communities gather in various places, and their focus is relationship and discipleship, not programs or events. Third, the missional model empowers members to be the church every day instead of just going to church on one day. Now, some people ask, Can't we do that and run a traditional weekend program? And the simplest answer is not really. With the increasing busy pace of life, the volunteers who are responsible for planning, rostering, rehearsing, and executing a weekend service simply don't have the time to also run a fully trained, equipped, and active missional community. And since secular people aren't looking for a church program anyways, and God Himself never asked for one, missional churches instead aim to invest their time, energy, and resources into being disciples who make disciples through relationship. Is this a magic bullet that we'll see hundreds of postmoderns getting baptized by the end of the year? No. But in the years that I've been leading and nurturing missional communities, here is what excites me. First, while traditional churches suffer from the 80-20 principle, which basically means 80% do nothing and 20% do everything year after year, the missional model is based on the priesthood of all believers. And I can honestly say, in my experience within a missional network, everyone is involved. Second, there are no tiring or expensive programs to run for people who are already religious. Instead, we can each spend our extra time on building relationships with secular seekers in our city. And third, I see secular seekers all the time now. It may not be a flood, but there is a steady and constant connection with secular seekers, some of whom, although highly unlikely to ever set foot in a traditional church, are studying the Bible with us now and getting to know God in ways that makes sense to them. So I hope this brief introduction helps answer the question of what makes a missional and traditional church different. Now, if you live in Perth and would like to connect with our missional church, head over to the r3network.com and send us a hello. If you're a pastor or church leader and you're interested in learning more about this in depth, join the Mission Collective. The link is in the notes below. Finally, I answer questions related to secular mission on this channel. So if you have a question, comment below or send it to Pastor Marcus at thestorychurchproject.com.